眠豆腐美国团购第二团开跑啦！纯正台湾制造，现在美国也买得到啦！
天哪，感谢美国棉友跨海支持，因为大家发现这不是诈骗之后，订单就如雪片般飞来，第一团破百张已达成，
第二团确定无缝续开，即日起开始接订单，2024年1月31日收单哦，预计2月到3月配送，
请搜寻棉豆腐美国或洽粉专客服了解详情哦。
Welcome to Catching Up. We're here to catch up with our friend Sam. This is Ken.
我是this is Kylie. Oh my God, we are doing our English show. So thank you so much for Sam
cheers,
to
guys.
come practice English with us as a 白人老外。
Thank you so much. That's my job in Taiwan. Help people practice English.
You're
Especially taxi
literally
drivers.
practicing English with us.
So I knew Sam from 2-3 Comedy. He is the co-owner and investor, right? And director, manager of 2-3 Comedy. So this 2-3 Comedy is the only comedy club in Taiwan that has an English program.
Oh, the
in
only
Taipei.
one?
Yeah, because we
I thought
don't
other
have
cities
it.
would have it.
Other cities have it?
They started doing, what's the Kaohsiung Comedy Club?
Okay.
They do like once a month. They do like an English show or something like that. But yeah. I
But
think
2-3 Comedy, it's pretty constant. It's like once a week, twice a week sometimes.
Yeah, at least twice a week for open
That's
mic.
a lot.
Wow, twice a week.
Yeah, we got open mics twice a week, and we do at least one other English show there.
What?
And there's also, there's English improv there. There's a lot of English stuff going on.
What?
Are there enough English stand-ups comedians in Taiwan? Or Taipei, sorry?
Great question. Depends who you ask. Judging from maybe last night's open mic, no. Yeah, there's quite a few. I'd say there's probably like 20 people doing it consistently, and then there's a lot of people who pop in.
Are
and
they
pop
all
out
good?
and stuff like that? This is a popular show, right? Yes. They're all uniquely talented in their own special way. Well, you met Jamie
20
Wong.
out of 20.
Yeah,
Jamie Wong, we
Jamie's
interviewed her.
incredible, right? So
Yeah.
But
there's
she's the only one, right?
So there's some very, very talented
Okay.
ones. No, there's quite a few who are very good. And a lot of people are just getting started and stuff like
see.
that.
It's
like Chinese open mic.
But I think people just come and go though, right? Like, because a lot of English speakers, they only come to Taiwan for a little bit and then they go back to wherever they come.
And
And a lot
COVID,
of people
blew
ran
that up.
away because of COVID.
Well, first we had the opposite. We had people who ran to here. Like, especially they were like Taiwanese-born Americans. If you had a Taiwanese passport in like 2019, 2020, you were coming back to Taiwan. They were like, there's no lockdown there. Let's go.
That's true. Like Dudu Man,
Yeah.
the YouTubers in Taiwan.
Yeah, we had like Esther Chan was here for a bit.
Esther,
Yeah. We had like these great. And then when COVID got out in Taiwan, all of a sudden they were like, no, we're going back to America. They left. They abandoned
They got
us.
vaccines.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, now it's just lockdown and no vaccine. What the, yeah, so they all ran back to the U.S. But yeah, so that really like blew up a lot of like the foreigners who were living here. And you're starting to see that really change now. There's so many new foreigners coming into Taiwan.
Oh, really?
Now. Yeah, especially the last year. Like the academic semester makes a huge difference. There's some people studying Chinese in Taiwan.
A lot of students.
Yeah. I was studying Chinese at this basically like a bushiban in Da'an. And I remember last year, October was when they changed the quarantine, right? The day before I had the whole school to like myself. It was amazing. I could choose any classroom. I was like, let's go. And then like the week after the quarantine dropped, it was just full of new students, just full. They tried to kick me out to like a cafe. They were like, because my class was just one-on-one, so it wasn't as big. So yeah, it was overnight. Just like people came back in studying Chinese.
Like, so just like, are they mostly students? Like, I mean, so the people who come to perform open mic.
So what's your background? And how did you reach out to them?
Yeah.
We get a fair mix. We get a lot. I would say probably the majority of our performers are you're still going to find a lot of like bushiban teachers. Like a lot of like the expats who've been here a little bit longer tend to be like the longer term stay who might get into something like comedy and want to perform regularly are probably like people who are working here. But then the people who are traveling, maybe it's just like a fun bucket list thing. Let's try stand up. So open mic. People just try something for the first time. I'm sure it's the same at Chinese mics, right? You get people trying for the first time.
Now it's really packed, so it's really hard for like newcomers just to go on the stage.
That's right.
So,
So competitive
it's pretty
stage
close
time, right?
circle right now.
Because there's an upside, at least like an upside for Chinese speaking comedy, right?
What, to
in
go
Taiwan.
to like work for Brian Zen?
Well, they can be like
One day.
I mean, they can be like YouTubers, you know. They can get like, you know, some brands collaboration on Instagram, you know.
Yeah,
they can get paid.
Start a little bit.
But I think for English performers, I mean, they're just mostly doing it for fun, right? For hobbies.
Yeah, basically.
There's no upside.
No, yeah. I mean, Depends. I think you talked to Jamie probably about this for longer, right? Like she clearly has goals for doing stand-up eventually outside of Taiwan, right?
Yeah.
I think that if you're being realistic about making a life as like an English comedy performer, then you can't set your limit on doing that in Taiwan. If you're just going to do English, right? It doesn't make sense. The market's not there. But if you're going to use Taiwan as a place where you kind of like incubate and build connections and things like that, but then eventually...
Who can I connect to? Like you and Brian?
Yeah, me and Brian. I like this thing with Brian. Like, the highest goal is to write jokes for the new Night show.
Oh, that's for Holo, not even for Brian.
Yeah, Orlan's monologue. Yeah. But I think a lot, like we had Adam Hopkins was a comic who's just here. He's doing comedy in the UK, but he was over here for years. So he built an act. Then he went back to the UK, and he kind of had a head start because he already knew people he'd connected with here. So he was going in. So he was on Edinburgh Fringe this year doing shows like that. So, but outside of that, like for me, like I've always wanted to have a career in comedy. Like, and I knew like if you bet it exclusively on being a performer, that's not the smart way to do it. But if you can find a way to have a life that's involved in comedy, whether it's writing, producing shows, owning a club, something like that, then that's actually realistic. There's people who've done that around Asia and other English language pockets and markets. There was like replicable paths you can follow to.
So now you're living in your dream already, right?
I guess.
You are an owner of a comedy club, the only one in Taipei. Then you're the manager. Whoever wants to be
only
on the stage
one so far.
needs to go through you, right? In order to get on the stage.
That's right. We call that big fish in a small pond. That's what we call that. We call that a gatekeeper. Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. Opening the club was like a long-term dream I had, and so having it happen. Like 2019 was when we opened. That was way faster than I ever expected to like accomplish that. So that was huge. Yeah, it's tough to say living my dream. The last 2 days of teaching at Bushiban, I was required to wear a Halloween costume. So when you're 38 years old and you have to wear a Halloween costume to work, it's tough to say you're living the dream. I don't know. That's exactly most people's idea of the dream. But no, I feel super lucky. Yeah, absolutely.
But Sam, where are you from though originally?
Northeast of the U.S. I grew up in New Hampshire, Vermont. Yeah, New England.
Then why did you decide to come to Taiwan?
Oh man, it was a really carefully thought out decision. Let me tell you. I had been teaching in Korea before. I lived in Korea for a couple years teaching English, and I went back to the U.S. and I decided I wanted to apply to law school. I wanted to be a lawyer, and I was working on my applications, but I had this job in the U.S. It was PR, and it was like crazy, like long hours. I had no time to work on my application. So I was like, I remember I had a lot of free time when I was an English teacher. That was like a very low. So I just had a friend who was teaching in Sinju, and he was like, Taiwan's great. And I was like, well, I've already done Korea. Like, okay, let's do someplace else. Let's try Taiwan. And so I just applied to a school in Kaohsiung, got on the plane, and then I was there. Yeah.
Kaohsiung. Do you know anything about Taiwan before you came?
No, literally, this is how stupid I was. I was like, when I was in Korea, I lived in Busan. And I didn't like Seoul. So I bet in Taiwan, I'll like Kaohsiung and I won't like Taipei. I was like, these are the same kind of dynamics. Big
that's
northern
true.
cities.
That's true. That's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate.
Though.
Yeah, but Taipei is closer to Busan. It's like Busan was a huge city. There was so much going on, and Kaohsiung was like, I love Kaohsiung. Like I still have great friends
so
there.
slow there though.
Yeah. Like, oh man, I do miss that. Yeah, like just like
you can have more free time.
so much free time. Yeah. Incredible amount.
But
of free
is
time.
Kaohsiung more like Vermont though?
It's Kaohsiung more like Vermont. That's excellent. I've never seen my grandma put her jacket on backwards and drive her scooter like across an intersection. So I don't think
ran red light.
Yeah, running red lights. Yeah, I've never seen that in Vermont. But
I mean the pace, you know.
Yeah, like if in terms of like what's going on this weekend, you're like maybe we'll get lunch. That's it. That's your whole plan. Like that's pretty similar. Yeah. The vibe is pretty similar. But yeah, I love that about Kaohsiung. But after a few years, when I started to get into comedy, it was like, okay, this is not sustainable here.
So how long were you in Kaohsiung for?
So I did a year, and I did my goal, which was to apply for law school, right? I worked on my application.
Oh, you still remember that one?
I remember it, yeah.
You did apply for law school.
Yeah, I took my time, Kaohsiung style, did it nice and slow. But I did it, and I was accepted to law school, and I moved back to the U.S., actually, to Boston. I was going to go to school, and I kind of had this, like, I guess it's not midlife, but quarter life like crisis where I was just like, I don't know if I want to be a lawyer or whatever. And it came down to, I was really going back and forth. I was like, I don't know if I want to go to law school. This is crazy. They had a phone call from the school. They were like, this week we're doing a reception for all of our new students to get to know each other, right? Come on in. And I was like, that's fantastic. It'd be cool to meet my new classmates. And they were like, the dress code is business formal. You have to, wear a suit. And I was like, I have to buy a suit for law school? And they were like,
well, duh. Dude, you're going to law school.
You could just hear this pause on the phone. It's like, yeah, you're going to be a lawyer. You're going to need to be wearing suits every day for the rest of your life. I was like, oh shit, I'm going back to Kaohsiung. All right, so
I'm going to be wearing stendos and shorts.
Exactly. I've got a Heineken tank top that's great for formal wear. So I withdrew from law school, and literally a week later, I was back in Kaohsiung.
No way, really?
Yeah.
That's the reason? Because you have to wear a suit.
Because it just showed me, how little I thought about it. I was like, law school just sounds good for you, you know?
Yeah.
That'll stop your parents from asking you questions, right? Like, what are you doing with your life? I'm going to law school. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm going to law school. Then I just had never really thought about that.
Oh, so you went back to Kaohsiung.
And then I did my first set of stand-up comedy 2 weeks later.
In Kaohsiung?
In Kaohsiung, yeah.
So your parents were okay with that? You going back to Kaohsiung?
Yeah, I think they were just happy I made any choice because I was just like, they were like, "What are you doing? Like you're gonna go to law school or not?" Like, I don't know. Yeah, so I was just like, I think they were happy I just chose one way. Or
Did you have any other friends who were from Vermont or you in your town that go abroad to teach English like you?
Yeah, actually, my buddy from high school was the guy who was in Sinju. It was really crazy. Yeah, he was living in Sinju. He was teaching at the international school there. So he had kind of a different experience in Taiwan. But so he had lived in Taiwan before. And other than that, no, not really. No,
is he still in Hsinchu?
No, he's back in the U.S. now. Yeah, so he got married.
During COVID?
Had a baby. No, long before. He had basically stopped living kind of in Taiwan. He was in Hsinchu and he had a family. His girlfriend was from the US too. They had a baby. They lived in a subdivision outside of Hsinchu. Mm-hmm. They shopped at Costco. Their house, it was just this is America already. Why are you here? They're not speaking Chinese, ever eating Taiwanese food. I'm like, you guys are just, you're living in America already. You should just go back. And they were like, yeah, we should go back.
That's true.
That's so interesting though, because he's living such an American lifestyle.
International school.
Yeah. And he tell you to come to Taiwan because
he's like, it's great.
It's great. So I don't see why he would say it's great because he's living an American lifestyle.
All he meant was the rent was cheap in Hsinchu. He's like, this apartment is amazing. There's so many ping. This is crazy.
Not anymore.
But when you started out comedy in Kaohsiung, what was the scene like in Kaohsiung? Because
where did you get the gig?
So the first gig I did was a friend of mine. He kind of bullied me into doing it, to be honest. He was like, you should try stand up. And I was like, oh, I'll go watch the first one. He's like, fuck you. Everyone says that. Can I swear on this thing? By the way?
Yeah, of course.
He was like, yeah, fuck you. Everyone says that their first time. Nothing's better than your first time. Everyone will love you. It'll be great. I was like, all right, okay, I'll do it. All right, fine. Yeah. So I showed up the night of the show and I'm like, all right, what's the lineup? What's the order? He's like, okay, so it's me, I'm hosting. Then it's you. Then it's me again because there's nobody else. We're the only comics. I'm like, God damn it. Tricked me.
The whole night?
The whole night. It was just me and him.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I think I have 5 minutes. He was looking at me, he's like, you don't have 5. You have 2 minutes. I know it. But I was like, all right. So I went up and I did 2 or 3, whatever I thought. But I got one laugh that first night and I was just like, oh, I like this. I'm into it, whatever. And he did 20 minutes that night, just did the whole show. And then we started doing it every 2 weeks at the same bar in Kaohsiung.
Oh, wow.
It was really good for me early on because it was Kaohsiung. So the same foreigners would come every 2 weeks to the show. So you had to write a whole new set every time. And it got kind of not super popular, but people were coming out. And so other people got interested. So we'd have new comics every week signing up. And then it was just so we started to kind of build a small little scene.
Wow, I'm surprised that Kaohsiung has so many foreigners interested in
There's
comedy.
quite a few, and it's also
are they white American people or
ABC?
all over?
They live in Kaohsiung. They're pretty tan. But, they were pretty white. Yeah. It was almost exclusively Bushiban teachers in Kaohsiung, whereas in Taipei you might find different fields and things like that. Hsinchu, you're gonna find all engineers and stuff. But it was more. And it was also it was interesting because where did you start? Where was your first comedy set?
At comedy.
Comedy base.
Comedy base,
right?
Yeah.
And I feel in the last couple of years with the English scene, that's true too. Most people's first set is at a comedy club or a comedy setting, whatever.
Yeah.
When I started, it was a bar full of people. And some of them might not be there for the show. They didn't know the show was happening until you're like, hey guys, comedy show. Some of them might not like that. Some of them might have been pretty happy to have a few drinks. So it was competitive from the start. We had to
You have to earn their
You had to have
right?
really quick jokes and you had to be loud and yell over the crowd and get their attention. And it, I remember we did a show 2 or 3 years ago up in Tianmu. We took a road trip up. There was some bar that was going to have an English mic. And we went in and all these comics who had just got started after 2-3 opened, they started looking around the bar. They're like, where's the stage? And I was like, oh, you sweet baby. There's no stage. There's no stage, motherfucker. The stage is right there. You're next to the bar. You're standing there next to the drunk guy passed out in the bar. And you gotta wake him up with your comedy, you know? Like, they just had never been outside of that kind of like comfortable environment, like what's built for comedy. So yeah, it was it's interesting. But yeah.
So what's the experience of teaching in Kaohsiung and in Taipei? What's the difference?
I don't know. It's like
all bushiban?
It's all bushiban, yeah. It's all like, different bushiban. Like, bushibans are different everywhere you go. Like, I don't know how much you want to get into the bushiban field.
I'm more curious about the difference between teaching English in Korea and teaching English in Taiwan.
Korea was like, it's crazy to say more intense because Taiwan is so intense on the kids, right? Like, I teach in my last class in Kaohsiung used to finish at 9:30 at night, It's so late at night, right? Now my last class finishes at 7 p.m. It's still so late at night, This is like 5th or 6th graders. They've been at school all day, right? Yeah. Korea was somehow like even more intense.
What?
You know the big school tests they have in Korea? Like they have similar ones in Taiwan. They used to have these special bushibans, they call them hagwon in Korea, where during that test cycle, the kids would wake up, they'd have a private tutor for an hour before school, 7 to 8, go to school 8 to 3, one hagwon from 4 to 7, another one from 7 to 10, go home, sleep. And they had a special hagwon only for these. The parents would wake them up at 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning?
And they would go from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. and then go back and sleep for an hour and then wake up. It was for the week of these classes. And I knew kids who were like doing this like special. Like it was completely insane. It's almost 24 hours.
But are they like doing good with that kind of schedule?
Not physically. They're
but can they even learn under that kind of?
No, like it goes against everything like we know about like education, about how to like teach kids, and also like basically this abuse of children. It's insane. It's insane.
There's no sleep.
No sleep at all. So classes in Korea were like 3 hours, and it was they were really high level classes. Like we were teaching them basically like TOEFL stuff. It was like reading, listening.
How old were they?
I was teaching everywhere from elementary up to high school kids in Korea. So a little bit older than the demographic I teach here. And so it was really, really intense. I teach at a school now that's like way less intense on the kids. It's still a bushiban, so the kids are still there, but there's like less testing focus. It's way less competitive and things like that. So I think it's good. I think it's better. Though I know there's still horror stories of like bushiban. Yeah.
But like nothing like Korea though. Oh my, I can't believe they do like what 2 a.m. to 5.
Imagine that. Wake up. It's time for more school.
Is that even legal?
I don't know. The parents make you. I mean, the parents allowed it. They pretty much consent to it, right?
Yeah, they call it like the black market teaching, right? Like they try to have some laws about like protecting kids, but the police aren't like kicking down the door.
God
put up your books,
That's nuts.
Yeah, crazy.
When did you move to Taipei though?
So I moved to Taipei. I lived in Kaohsiung for 3 years.
Yeah.
I did 3 years there. The last year there, the guy that I started comedy with, this guy named Rob Stockies, awesome dude. He was obsessed with making it as a comic. Like that was his only goal. That's all he wanted to do. So he had this plan. He's like, we're not doing enough shows in Kaohsiung. It's bullshit. We're not getting enough shows. He's like, we need to do 100 shows this year. I was like,
wow.
How are we going to do that?
That's pretty ambitious.
He's like, we're going to do an open mic every week. So that'll be a 50, 52. And then we're going to do a show every weekend on the road somewhere. Because he was a surfer. He had this surf van. And I had another friend named Tommy who had a wood shop. And so he built us a stage. It was like this.
Mobile stage.
A mobile stage. So every weekend we would load this stage into his van. And we would contact bars off of Facebook. We'd be like, where do foreigners go in Taichung? All right, we found a bar, and we contact the owner and be like, can we go do a show?
For free?
Can we do a show? Yeah, basically, like if there was some like cover or something like that, maybe we could get some gas money or something like that. But yeah, no, it'd just be like show up and do a show wherever they would take us just to get like stage time.
That's pretty cool.
We would drive like 5 hours to Sinju and then like
awesome.
Drive back the same night and stuff like that. He was crazy about it too. Like he would drive the whole way.
Sounds a lot of fun.
I had a great time. I enjoyed it. He was like, because he wouldn't drink, he'd be driving, so he'd go up and everything like that. And we'd have a show and I'd want to hang out. I'd be like, these guys thought it was funny. Let's hang out. He's like, we got to go. We're getting in the van. I'm like, all right, go back in the van. Okay, yeah. But there was some it was some great nights, but there were some like we would get people from Kaohsiung to come with us, be like, dude, you're funny. You got a great 10 minutes. Come to Hsinchu. So we'd drive 5 hours the whole way up. Everyone's so excited. And then this guy would go up on stage and just bomb for 10 minutes. And immediately the show ends. It's like, back in the van. And it's just like, back in the saddest 5-hour drive back to Kaohsiung. He's like, the next week, we're like, you want to come to Taichung? He's like, no. It was horrible. It was a miserable experience. I want to do comedy again. So, so we hit 100 shows in a year. And that was like, and it was a really cool year and it was an awesome thing. But after that, he moved to New York. He went back to, he wanted to make a go at it. Like really make it as a performer, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And I knew I wasn't ready for New York. I knew my comedy wasn't ready for New York. I had so many like Taiwan jokes and everything. But I knew I didn't want to do less comedies. And so I moved to Taipei. I was like, that's where I can continue.
So move to Taipei is because you want to do more comedy, not because of Bushipan.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I was I was ready to, like 3 years, like, and I knew that like the open mics I were doing with Rob leaving, everything there was gonna be less opportunity. There's gonna be less. He was the other guy who was like really into it, doing it every week. And so if you had 2 people doing that, you could do that for a year.
Yeah.
But if it's just one person, that's tough.
Yeah, you'll be lazy.
Yeah. It's just like nobody.
But did you do any research about Taipei? You know that there will be more gigs in Taipei?
Yeah, I had already started coming up to Taipei and doing shows with some of the people who were running shows here before. So I knew that there were rooms and I knew that they had like at least a monthly show. And I think by that point, they had already started a weekly open mic. So, So
at the older 2-3 comedy club?
No, that was one that was so random that we used to do a show at this hostel near Taipei main station that had a beer bar. And they had a manager who ran their beer bar. And they had this basement room that was decorated like an Egyptian tomb. It had like hieroglyphs on the wall. It's one of the worst rooms for comedy I've ever been. It was a nightmare. And we did a couple shows there. And then that manager left. And he got hired as the first manager of 23 Public, that bar.
The bar.
On Xinhai Lu. Yeah. And they were looking for programming. He was like, I know some guys who do comedy. And we just got in. And I remember Brian and I went in the first night.
Right?
Yeah. Before they were open, it was like their soft opening night. And we went down in the base, and they had all these people in from this tour company called Tour Me Away because they all knew the manager. And they were like, oh, let's check out the sound system. They have microphones downstairs. And me and Brian just did a 20-minute show for like these 20 people, just like doing English jokes to these guys. And then and that was the first show at 23. And we were like, this room will work. This will be good. And then after that, we started 2-3 Comedy. That was basically.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. But like, how do you advertise your show to other foreigners in Taipei? Like, do you have to actively seek them out, or word of mouth will just get to them?
No, you got to actively seek them out. Like, I still meet people all the time who are like, "Oh, I didn't know there was comedy in Taipei. I didn't know." Like, so yeah, a lot of like, there's the basic stuff like Facebook, Instagram, social media marketing. Trying to, give out flyers at some of those like bushibans, those language schools and stuff like that. And then reaching out to some of like the business groups, like the Chamber of Commerce and things like that, and trying to get word out for bigger shows and stuff.
Have you thought about telling like older English bushiban students to come and try out English comedy? It will help with their verbals, right?
Oh, that'd be interesting. We have had a few people from like college English programs come. Like I remember there's these college girls sitting there and they're like, we're doing crowd work, talking to them, like, what are you doing? They're like, oh, we're practicing our English listening. This is like for our class.
I think that's another way of advertising it to, local Taiwanese.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Everybody loves to practice their English with
just call it a language exchange. That's a slippery slope. Yeah. Language exchange becomes like dating meetup too quick. It just gets creepy too fast. So no, that'd be a good idea. I don't know about the Bushiban students though. My students are all Xiaoshui, so it's all like grade 5 max. I don't think they're ready for late nights at 2-3.
So last time you helped us to invite Atsuko to our show. We really appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
She is so cool. But your story is even it's cool too.
You're about to go. It's even
don't push it that far.
It's pretty cool too. So how did you know Atsuko? Did you actively seek out to her, or how did that work?
I think I actually got connected through another comic named Amy in Taiwan. She came. Do you know Xing Wang, the Taiwanese comic? He had the Netflix special Sweet and Juicy, long hair.
I got to see him.
At
Yes.
2-3. Yeah, he came many years ago, before his Netflix special was out. And he happened to be in town the same weekend Atsuko was in town.
Wow.
And I had already set up a show with him. So Atsuko actually came and like opened for him, which, by the way, like most overqualified opener in the history of shows. It was like 2 of our local comics and then her opening for Xinguang. Like, what an amazing show. Like, you could have got a ticket for that to like 500 NT 4 years ago. Atsuko and Xinguang, 2 HBO special of the year for Atsuko, Xinguang, like Netflix special. Yeah, you could have watched that for 500 NT with like 80 other people in a tiny room near City Hall. And so I met her through that. She did 1 or 2 of the shows. We did 3 shows with Xinguang that run, and she did 1 or 2 of them. And then we just kept in touch. And she messaged me last time she was in town that, she was just looking around at stuff. And then I definitely wanted to try to do something because when she comes back, and I'm sure she will, it'll definitely be part of like a large tour. She'll be doing theaters and stuff like that. You're not going to get a chance to see her in a comedy club again. That was it basically. Wow. She's gonna be doing like 1,000 seat rooms, I think.
But how do you get in contact with those famous comics in the States?
Like well-known comics. Did you try to like invite them to Taiwan to do a show?
And how do you even convince them to include Taiwan as their part of their Asia tour or world tour?
So there's two different ways. One, because when you're dealing with like the more famous internationally known comics, basically there's 2 reasons they're coming to Taiwan. One is they're already doing like an established tour. If that's the situation, I have very little contact with the comic at all. I'm talking to the booking agents or the people from the companies, like Live Nation or whatever company it might be that's running those shows. And they're dealing with the agents. So it's like 2 layers removed from the comic. Wow. When Jim Gaffigan or Jim Jeffries came to Taiwan, I had nothing to do with talking to Jim Jeffries. Like, check out Taipei, man. It's sick, They're doing market research. How many tickets can we sell here? Blah, 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 blah. And they're piecing together these shows and going around. The other way is if people are either naturally interested in Taiwan or coming kind of on their own. So an example of that would be like Atsuko or Xinguang. Like they're already coming here and they might put out feelers and ask, who do I talk to for English shows? And like we talked about, big fish, small pond. If you're asking about English comedy, eventually it gets back to me. It gets back to me. And so whether I can help them maybe like try to do a show at like a theater or a bigger venue and try to set that up, I'm happy to try to do that. Or if they would want to perform at 2-3 or anywhere, like we're happy to do that. So that's kind of like the word of mouth. And then now these comics know people. So, Atsuko told some people in LA and then, if they come to Taiwan, they would reach out to me, right? So you just build the kind of networking like that from running shows. And hopefully if you do a good job and you treat the comics well and run the shows fairly, then you get a good reputation and then they want to continue working with you, right? So, But a lot of the time, like, no, like if like, Russell Peters is coming here or something like that. Nobody's asking me like, Sam, what do you think? How's Russell Peters going to do? They're like, he's going to sell out anywhere, get a theater, go do that show. So it's cool. Like, so those are shows more like where I'm involved, more like on the business side, kind of like that, where you just like pitching the shows.
So how's the life of running a comedy club?
It's tiring, man. It's how many late nights have you done at Comedy Plus since you guys opened? You're like,
oh my god! Yeah. But that's just like once or twice a week. But for you, you're there pretty much every single day.
Yeah, I was especially. I was bartending there briefly.
Oh my god!
You're doing everything.
I was really like doing a lot there. I'm trying to step back a little bit this fall and like take a little more time because. You're like, if you're there all the time, your writing suffers, you're not writing new jokes. Like when I'm bartending, I'm not like thinking of new stuff. So, super, super tiring. But like, again, like it's, was a long-term dream of mine to have a club. So I'm not like,
complaining.
You can't complain about it too much. It's like, oh, I got to go to my club again. Or, exactly. And like you said, free beer all the time. So there's definitely perks. So,
but how do you balance it between like your comedy club and the Bushiban job?
You just work. I mean, like,
you just
got to do it, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Basically, like, I mean, Bushiban is, like teaching is physically tiring. You're dealing with kids all day, but you do have time outside of it for sure. Like last night, I taught all day and then I go grab dinner and then I go to the club for the open mic. But one way I can balance that is I'm going to have somebody else host. So I'm not going to host. And I signed up first last night on the open mic. So I was out of there by like 10:15. I was like, did my set, like, good night, bye-bye, and then back home. So, get a decent night's sleep. Yeah. So it's just trying to find out solutions like that. Because a lot of it in the early years, like I said, I'd be there for every English language show, even if it's not a stand-up. If it's a drag show, I'm there selling tickets.
I see you all the time.
All the time there,
all the time.
And it's just like, do I have to be there for all these
selling
shows?
Tickets, helping people to sign up and like go on the stage and host.
Cooking food in the back, whatever like that. By the way, sorry if I cooked your food at 2:30. I'm not an expert at that. That was a bad pizza. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
But just it's super busy. But like that's like anything. Like you guys start your own business, your own company. Like there's no limit to how much work you can put in, right? Like you could work at your own company all day, every day. There's always never-ending checklist. So you have to set your own limits and things like that. And I didn't do a good job of that the first few years, but hopefully do a little better.
Are you thinking about expanding your club though? Because so many people go to 2-3 now, right?
Yeah.
And it's always jam-packed.
It's always jam, but the Chinese, Chinese comedy has grown so much, and I think there's a lot of natural. It makes sense for Chinese comedy to grow. The Comedy Plus, and then all these rooms that are opening up. Like there's a club in freaking Hsinchu now, right? 4F.
And Taoyuan.
In Taoyuan.
Yeah, they just opened it last weekend.
Jesus Christ! All right, so there's all sorts.
But that's a good thing, though. That's a good thing.
It's fantastic.
Right?
It's amazing.
For the whole comedy scene.
It's amazing, but and then I don't know if English, like if expansion makes the same sense. In the same way, where it's like, should we just open like a 2-3 Taichung or something like that? Because what makes 2-3 work is the combination of English and Chinese. On a Friday night, 7 to 9 p.m. is a Chinese open mic, and then 9:30 to late is an English show. So between those two shows, we're using that space like constantly, right? And so I don't know if expansion just for the English side makes sense, right? And I think there's other directions you could go, like building bigger and bigger shows, building out like having a comedy festival, things like that. There's other areas to grow without necessarily being like, let's open a new place.
But is it hard for you to find any like English assistant in Taiwan to help you to run the club?
Jonah Kraft is a co-owner there. He does a lot of the stuff. You know Jonah. Jonah is a great guy, and so he does a lot of stuff. He basically took over like our Monday open mic. He runs all that. He's gonna be hosting some of the shows coming up this next 2 weekends. And
you guys did the Bailingguo open mics too, right?
You're gonna join us, right?
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Thank you so much. I mean, somebody told me because you guys moved the Bailingguo open mic to the first week of the month because of me, but I'm not sure if it's true.
Really? Janice was like, Kylie will come as the first. I was like,
so that's on Tuesday.
It's always be on Tuesday. I was like, what the fuck? I can do it only if it's on the first week of the month. Then be like, okay, we'll think about it. And then it's moved.
Oh my God.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I will be there. I'll be there. I will be there. I'll be begging them to do one for me.
It'd be very funny if you didn't show up. No, that'd be hilarious.
I will be there.
That'd be a power move.
Oh, shit.
Move it to the second week now. Like, just bouncing it around every week. It's changing all the time. Yeah, those shows are fun. Yeah, that's an interesting.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
And a lot of
Taiwanese show like?
So you do like 3 minutes Mandarin and 3 minutes English.
So you mean the performer have to do both the languages?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
isn't it fun? You can do it too.
Yeah.
You should do it too.
I can't do anything. I can't do both. Neither language.
Neither language.
Oh, he's opening for me at my special. So he's like really nervous right now.
Oh no.
She's fucking with me, you know. So, hey,
I'm getting that sense you like doing that. You're like,
she was like, hey Ken, do you want to open for me? I was like, yeah, sure. When? Oh, first week of November. I was like, no, that's like right after my wife's due day. Like, why are you doing this to me? I can't focus on your thing.
It has nothing to do with that. I asked you 3 months ago.
Yeah, the same thing. I have been thinking about my baby for 3 months.
No time for jokes. That's a tough excuse for the wife too. Like, sorry, honey, I can't meet our new baby. I have to go do an open mic.
I can't be there for you. Kylie needs me. What?
Where are you filming it? Are you filming a comedy?
No, I'm gonna do it at WeStar.
Oh, nice. That venue's so nice.
I really like the place.
That place is awesome.
I know, it's really cool. High tech.
Yeah, super high tech. The location's amazing too, right? Nice. Excellent.
So how's working with Brian Zen?
Oh, it's great. As you know, the dream, everyone, to work for, eventually get a job at STR, right? That's the pinnacle of comedy in Taiwan. No, I've known Brian for, I guess, 8 or 9 years now. Like, I knew him before he blew up with his videos and things like that. Because he started doing English comedy, right? So I met him when I was still living in Kaohsiung and coming up, and he had just got back from France. He was like this kind of like nerdy kid. He was still wearing glasses all the time and doing these jokes. But he had good jokes. And so I got to know him. We became friends. And then he was actually friends with the guy who became the manager of like our first bar, like that connection. So we started kind of started I started 2-3 with a girl named Meg Anderson who lives in Thailand now. We were the first two to start that, and then Brian came on to start doing the Chinese shows as part of 2-3. But then we officially started working together because old 2-3 was just a Facebook page, right? It wasn't any business entity or anything like that. And then when we opened the club in 2019, that's when we became business partners. But before that, I was a writer for season 2 of the Night Show and season 3.
Oh, show.
Yeah, show. So I was a writer for that. And
in Chinese?
So I would write all my jokes in English. And then he would translate the jokes for Chinese. I would write the monologue and I'd work with him on the closing segment.
But does the translation work?
Sometimes. Sometimes not. Sometimes not. So you just have to write but that was an easy year to write because that was the election year. So it was just a lot of politics, right? So I just follow Taiwanese politics super, super close. And you can kind of get the sense of how people feel about stuff and make jokes based on that, right?
Yeah. So this year is pretty hard then, I suppose.
It's an election year too. If you want to write jokes for
I don't think Ho Long speaks English, so I can't translate the jokes as well. Because Brian would get my jokes and he'd translate them himself and and put them in his own voice, of course, the ones he wanted to do. So that was mostly season 3. I worked with him the full season, and that's probably why I'm not writing for the current season of Night Show. And then I worked with him on the Burn, doing some of the jokes for Burn.
The roasting?
Yeah, the roast show.
The roast show.
So I'd worked with him on different writing projects and stuff before, and always got along super well. And this club is so interesting. You asked about working with him. It's almost we kind of we each do our own thing at the club, right? I'll meet with him once a month for business stuff, and we meet up outside of that as friends or whatever. But when we meet as friends, we don't talk about business or anything like that. And then when we meet for business, it's mostly just we're kind of on the same page. We want the same thing. He's doing his Thursday night shows there. Yeah. He trusts me to do the English shows. I run those shows, and it's kind of we have our area and we don't fuck with each other's area.
You guys don't fight?
No, not really. No. Because it's not what would I... how would I be Brian, your show is too successful. There's too many people.
Too many people to the
Too many people here on Thursday. Yeah. No, it's mostly just kind of trying to get ideas from each other and stuff like that. And there's no point of if there's fighting, it's more me and him trying to make something happen at the club. We want something different for the way the comics get, So it's more working together in that way or whatever that. But yeah, no, we never had I don't think we've ever had a big fight or anything like that. No. Yeah.
But is it hard for a foreigner in Taiwan to run your own business?
Do you speak any Mandarin?
A little bit, yeah.
So for you to run all those...
I had my class today.
Good.
So for you to deal with all those paperwork or applications...
Oh, yeah. I was briefly the Fujiran for the club, too. So, my name was on, everything.
Oh, my God.
Fujiran, yeah. That was...
So you have a Chinese name on it?
Yeah, my chop, yeah.
You have a...
Yeah, I got my chop. I was what does this mean? Why am I on the food? They'd be if the club burns down, you're on the insurance. It's your fault, yeah. I'm cool, thanks guys. Yeah. Appreciate you guys looking out for me. But we changed that this year because it was didn't make any sense for my name to be on it. We have a big ownership group and we have enough Taiwanese people. I'm sure if it was just me running my own company, it'd be super difficult. It's hard to open a bank account as a foreigner here in Taiwan.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. So I imagine having your own business would be super
But I think
tough.
they just want you as Fujiran just in case if it really burns down.
You should have it. You can just
if it's a white guy running the club, the government will be more lenient on you.
Yeah, they also be where's Sam? And be he's in Bangkok already. He's
out of the country.
I would be out of here. Yeah. I'd have 2 cats at the airport. We're getting out of here. We're flying. Yeah. We're going to freedom. Yeah.
So if you don't mind me asking, so you're a resident of Taiwan already, or just not citizenship?
APRC. Yeah.
APRC.
Yeah, that's the permanent resident card. That's the 5-year one you get, which means open work permit.
So is foreigner allowed to have its own company when you have APRC? I don't know how the paper works.
You can basically do everything except for vote when you have the APRC.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you have almost full rights except for voting. That's the last
So
step.
even running or starting up a new company, the requirement for you is exactly the same as
you open person. Once you have the open work permit, you can you start your own LLC.
How long does it take to have that APRC?
Depends. There's a couple different ways. APRC, you need 5 years minimum if you're a Bushiban teacher or something. But they have this new program called the Gold Card, Jinka, and that's a 3-year to APRC. so you can get it faster. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a fast track because they're trying to get more professionals in.
I see.
Like that. Yeah.
So what kind of people would they give the go-kart to? Do you know?
That's a great question. I don't think they know. I think that the program is nuts, man.
Because that's what we heard is that...
it's not really transparent?
No, we heard it from Le Fa Li, you know, Le. He said that he might get a go-kart or something, but he said it last year, so we don't know if he actually got one.
Okay, I think he was applying for it.
Yeah, so everything's still like...
I had a friend who applied for one. Like he did all the application, all the background, financial, sends all your thing, whatever like that. And they were like, what category? He checked the box. It was like finance. And it's boom, rejected. And then he goes back, reapplies, does the whole thing, just checks a different box, entrepreneurship, and it's accepted. And he got it right away.
So
like,
the answer is probably entrepreneurship. Yeah, we're going to tell Le Fa Li this.
Yeah. Tell him go entrepreneur. Yeah. That's the magic word, I guess. Yeah. No, it's just like, it's not an entirely like transparent system, right? It's pretty opaque. Like people don't know exactly how to apply and get for it. So it's better than what was before, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's still like not quite
Pretty
addressing
strict.
what they want. Yeah.
Because as far as we understand, I think our government is pretty strict on what foreigners can do in Taiwan.
Yes.
So as
They
your
don't want
club,
you guys to take our jobs.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
all
is your
you English
club,
open micers. Yeah. That we're stealing work from at the club. Yeah.
So how about like people coming on the stage to try open mics? Would that cause any trouble?
No, so open mics are fully legal actually. Yeah, open mics are fully guaranteed. Like we actually like had a long conversation with the Ministry of Labor talking about this, and we have like for artistic reasons, you know, like these kind of shows are like basically.
Like, I know that your club 2-3 is in Linsen Beilu, right?
Oh,
that part is like famous in Taipei for, you know, the red light district.
Absolutely,
And a lot of, you know, random shits going down there all the time. Are there any things that you remember the most? Like,
I'd say there's two things. Well, one is because I hear so many times like guys will come to the club and be like, oh my God, like people kept offering me like girls and massage on the way here. You know, like walking down the street, everyone keeps offering me girls and massage. And it was making me so mad because for 3 years, nobody ever offered me girls or massage. I was like, do I look poor? Like, what is wrong? I'm walking down the street. I'm like, nobody. Like, I'm making eye contact. You see the guys with like the earpiece, whatever, like that, at the Jodian. I'm like, hey, maybe you don't know. They're like, yeah, get out of here. I'm like, come on. All right. I don't want that, but I want to be asked. Like, come on. Actually, our club used to be, the old place was called M Piano Bar. It was a Japanese piano bar that did not have any pianos in the piano bar. You can still see some of the old wallpaper, man. It's it's crazy. Like our storage room used to be a VIP room.
oh no.
Shit.
Oh my
Did you
God.
bring in a UV light? To see what's going on?
I can't. It'd be like a CSI.
Yeah.
It'd be like a murder scene. Oh my God. No, we were always joking at the beginning that we hoped that like, you know, one day like some Japanese businessman would like come back and just be so excited to go back to M Piano Bar. Like, I hope that girl's still working there, you know? And he comes down, there's an open mic. He's like, what the fuck is this?
And like Janice Jiayu is up on the stage.
Yeah, maybe sits down. All right, this is not bad. Yeah, I'll check it out. But no, they used to have like locker rooms in the back where like the girls would come and keep their stuff and everything like that. Yeah, it was.
Well, do local gangs go and bother you guys?
We've never had any trouble. Knock on all sorts of wood.
So they didn't ask you for protection money or nothing?
No, never.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Probably they like research comedy. Like, well, this doesn't make any money. So
That's so true.
This is the wrong business to extort. Yeah. We'll stick to the prostitution. They're actually making money. They start giving us money. They're like, guys, we feel bad for you guys. Here you go. Here's 10,000. Like this is on us. Yeah, buy yourself something nice.
And do your clients get drunk and get into troubles or not really?
You know, this is another knock on wood thing because like anytime you have a bar or something like that, right? Like we've had remarkably few problems with like drunk
is that
people.
possible?
I know it's crazy, right? Well, one thing is we're not a super, super late place. Like we normally, after the English show, we might stay up until 2 if it's like a really busy night and we're hanging out at the bar. But like most of the time it's 12:31, we're done. And most trouble happens like late at night, you know, like go to Maji Square like 3. That's a nightmare. But there was one time we had this one guy. He wasn't really like making a big problem, but he was this huge guy, a foreigner. And he was super drunk. And he kept talking to one of the girls working at the bar. And he was like, just too close, you know? And it was just like, but it's just me there. And I'm like, if this is a fight, like I'm going to lose immediately. And then, you know, so we're like, we got to trick him to get out of here. So it was like 11:30 at night. And there's only like 3 other people in the bar. And we just started to like turn on all the lights and like turn down the music. We're like, yep, we're closing. Time to go home. Time to go. And like the other people drinking were like, what? We're like, no, we're not really closing. It's fine. It's fine. But this big drunk guy was like, oh, okay. And he like stumbled out, blah, blah. And as soon as he's gone, we're like, all right, lights, music back on. We're like, yeah, it's still going. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty smart.
Yeah, super lucky. No, we haven't had any. Have you had anything over at
Not
comedy?
really. Taiwanese people don't really drink.
Yeah, Taiwanese people don't drink at comedy club.
We've noticed that. Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard
If
for
we
us.
try to make money, we need to have some white dudes here.
Yeah, hey, start an English show, right? I'll bring you the drunkest people I know immediately. Yeah. We'll put them all on the lineup. No, that's why our model, like at 2-3, is we call it like Chinese early, English late.
That's really smart.
You get a bunch of tickets early, people come in, and then, you know, Taiwanese audiences after the show, they leave after the show. They're like, we're done. They treat comedy shows like a movie theater.
Exactly.
Really similar. It's like, yeah, I bought a ticket for the show. Why am I going to buy a cocktail at the movie theater, you know? And then like you leave after. Whereas the English audience maybe will come early, get a drink, and then stay late, have a drink and things like that.
The culture is a little different.
Yeah. I think it's more of just like a learning process. The more people like experience comedy club, because what you've built, I've seen Comedy Plus, it's beautiful space. Like it's comfy. You have like full food menus, everything like that. Like it'd be a great place to sit down, have a drink, watch the show, right?
Yeah.
So I think as people get kind of used to that experience, it'll change. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us. We really like it. We really like the story. It's really fun. It's really fun.
Let's try to make the Taiwanese comedy scene better.
Yeah,
More
cheers.
beer.
Yeah, cheers.
With more beer and make them drink more. Make the audience drink.